welcome back to Testing Life. Today I would like to have a talk with you about certifications, specifically test engineer ones, of course, such as the ISTQB TMAP. There's probably a few more out there, but I personally don't know of them. So, yeah. Now, this is also kind of a personal gripe of mine, right? Because I've noticed an, let's say, interesting trend in the industry in the last few years, and I have opinions about it. So for myself, I have worked as a test engineer for over 15 years now. I do hold a certification attesting that I am a test engineer. So I would like to focus on exactly how useful such a certification is in today's world, be it, again, ISTQB or TMAP, and at the same time, why you shouldn't have to get such a certification just for the sake of landing a job. But what is ISTQB or TMAP, I hear you ask? Well, let me elaborate. So there are companies out there that will provide an internationally recognized certification. Stipulating that basically your competence as a test engineer is at a certain level and meets certain industry recognized criteria. Of course, the foremost recognized among these is the ISTQB certification or certifications, sorry. And these are provided by the ISTQA, which is basically a whole organization, and followed by, of course, the TMAP certifications. Like I said, probably there's some other certifications provided by some other companies out there, but to be honest, nobody actually talks about them. So yeah, it is what it is. Now, like in all walks of life, there are certain levels and certain competence areas that one can be certified in. So for the sake of brevity, from now on, whenever I will say ISTQB or TMAP certification, I will refer to the foundation level test engineer certification, right? We'll talk about some other kinds of certifications a bit later on. So let's say that the traditional way of how one would go about undertaking one of these certifications is, so you've already been working for some time at a company as a tester or as test engineer, and since either you or your company would like to continue this and you would like to grow in your role, trainers from maybe the ISTQA or some other third-party companies, they would be brought in, hold some kind of course or seminar on testing and engineering, of course. And after these, you basically get some mock exams, and you probably will do very well on them. And afterwards, you take the actual official test, and then you receive your certification. Unfortunately, I have seen a recent trend where a lot maybe of companies are looking for test engineers, and basically they have started to add this test engineer certification as a gateway criteria for getting the job, or sometimes even worse, just to be called in for an interview in the first place. You kind of are, let's say, required to have some sort of certification. Now, yeah, this is not necessarily a good thing, but also not a bad thing. But let me explain one thing first. So, how I see it, there are issues with, let's say, certifications, right? So, let me give you an example. So, let's take, for example, the TOEFL or the IELTS English certification. I probably butchered that one. I'm sorry. It's pretty late at night. So let's say you want to get a certification for the English language, right? So you get one of these certifications. Everyone you show them to basically will immediately recognize that your level of language mastery is at a very high level, or should I say it, at a specific level. And the certification itself means that someone has vetted you through a practical exam. So that's all hunky-dory, right? Well, the situation with the ISTQB and TMAP certifications, that's kind of where things go wonky a bit. So, of course, you do go through a curriculum specific to these kinds of examinations, and you are tested on that curriculum, right? On whatever it is that you've learned. However, that does not mean that you are basically a test engineer that can immediately snap into action if placed into the exam, from the exam room straight into a work environment, and then you're asked to start implementing test strategies and test cases for a product. This is because by nature, being a test engineer involves more than just having the theoretical background for this. So it involves having both a knack for sleuthing and a passion for digging into things, but also kind of a sixth sense, I guess, which you would gain through years of experience. And to be honest, I've seen this to be true with friends that are also test engineers, as well as with other fellow colleagues of mine. So for them, testing is not so much of a job, but more of a passion. Or if it's not a passion, that it's more like a predilection for seeking out behaviors not in line with whatever is stipulated from requirements. Okay, sure, sometimes you're probably stuck with doing reports, filling out documents and whatnot, and sometimes the only thing that keeps them going through all of this, I don't want to say boring stuff, but somewhat menial work, is the idea that once all of this is done, they will get to go out and find more issues in the product. So the point that I want to make is, in the industry, managers that interview people, whether it's HR managers or other kinds of managers that interview people, they all have the expectation that once they hire someone with an ISTQB or TMAP certification, that person has all the knowledge and experience that makes them effective at their job. Of course, that's not always the case, right? And this is a point that I hope people out there will come to understand, because it is pretty important. So, as an HR person, that interviews people, you need to understand that a certification is not the end all and be all of being a test engineer, right? So if a manager comes in and says, oh, we need someone with ISTQB certification for this position, it would be nice if some HR personnel would maybe challenge that decision. So that would be one, let's say, step that could be made towards improving things. And if not, then maybe try to consider that other people that pitch in their resumes and they do not have the certification, but instead they do have a lot of years upon years of experience in the test engineering field, might be also a very suitable candidate, if not even better. Yeah, so again, the industry should be more cognizant of this and try to make better selection of candidates and actually judge the experience of the candidate instead of how or what kind of fancy certification someone has on their resume, right? Now we kind of get to a, let's say, catch-22 here, because how do you gain this knowledge and experience that I keep talking about? Well, unfortunately, as it stands right now, universities and or colleges do not offer specific courses on how to become a test engineer. I mean, you want to become a mechanical engineer? Sure, there's curriculums for that, there's degrees for that. Want to do software? Sure, there's degrees for that also. Want to become a test engineer? You're kind of out of luck here. So from the people around me that I've talked to, no one during their studies was aware of, or even worse, have been made aware that becoming a tester is an actual career path that one can follow. And I think this is a major oversight from the part of colleges or universities, and it also seems to be something that no one is talking that much about, right? And it looks like also no one wants to take up the mantle of making both the industry and the schooling systems more aware of this gap. And maybe this is where I come in. I don't know. Fingers crossed. So getting back on track here. So if your school system is out of the picture, then basically that only leaves you with the option of learning on the job, right? Now, of course, you probably remember the point I made earlier about how managers and HR people tend to only hire really seasoned testers with at least one fancy certification under their belt. Now, of course, this would mean that junior positions in this industry are kind of few and far in between, right? And I think this is probably one of the main reasons why there aren't that many testers around. But also, and if you look at companies, they don't really have many test personnel, right? At least if you compare the number of, say, software developers or hardware developers or other engineering disciplines. Now, again, I have talked to some of my friends out there that do this kind of thing professionally. And it does kind of seem that, test engineering is, again, not really something that you really decide upon early on in your career, but you kind of more like, I don't want to say wiggle, but you kind of sort of make your own path in the world, and you discover that there's this nice thing called testing, and you like it, and there's no one else doing it, and you raise your hand and you tell your boss, hey, can I please do this because I think it suits me. So this is, let's say, in short, the story that kind of goes around, again, from my personal experience. If you have, let's say, diverging opinions or experiences, then by all means, please leave them in the comments. I'm really curious to hear more about this. Now, turning our sights on what these certifications actually offer. So, first of all, please be aware that ISTQB, this is a business in and of itself, right? So, as such, they have had to grow and adapt with the times. So if you right now go to the ISTQB website and have a look around, you will probably be taken aback by the amount of certifications that they offer, right? So they have anything and everything from test automation, agile, performance testing, security testing, and all of this is okay, of course, but yeah, of course, it allows people to specialize on certain aspects of their job, right? So this is a very good thing. However, if you are a newcomer to this game and you just want to know what it is that you need to start off with, it can be a bit of a headache to figure out. So for your first certification, whichever path you would want to go, whether it's test automation, security, etc., the foundation level is the very first certification that you need to get, right? After that, whether it is the nature of your job that demands it, or you just want to grow laterally and learn more, you can specialize with one of the certifications that I mentioned earlier. Gambling industry testing, anyone? yes, that is a thing. Yes. And for 90% of test engineers, this should be enough as far as certifications go. Or you can always just aim upwards and go for the test manager level certifications. That's also a thing. Now, there does seem to be a silver lining in all of this. So, a couple of weeks ago, I've actually had a talk with a very close friend of mine that, of course, is also working as a test engineer. And basically, we kind of went through this very topic of certifications, how companies do it, and he did mention a very interesting thing. So his company, he is working for a pretty high-tech company, right? So apparently, how they hire people there is, certifications aren't really necessarily a thing there, so that's not really something that people look at. However, actual practical skill and knowledge, apparently that is what people are actually looking for. And this is a great thing, right? So, like I said earlier, there tends to be let's say, universal trend where certifications kind of beat out actual hard-earned experience, but not everywhere. So that is a very, very good thing to actually see and hear that it actually happens, right? So in conclusion, I think that this industry and also the people working in it would benefit much, much more if the school systems would actually step up and introduce testing in their curriculums, or courses or whatever. And it's similar, for example, to the ISTQB ones. But also if people in charge of hirings would also become more cognizant of how they actually do their hirings and what it is that they actually want from their employees, and also maybe start allowing more junior testers, so that as companies grow and also technology develops further, of course we will need more test engineers and more testing done on products, right? So that maybe we'll manage to outgrow this phase where we make throwaway items or vaporware software products. But yeah, in all honesty, I'm really curious what you think about this topic. And if you would like to share your thoughts on this, then please leave a comment. That's all for today. See you next time. Bye.